everyone, welcome to Lesson 8, Fly Casting. Today we're going to go over some essential fly casts you need to know in fly fishing. There's a lot of information out there, but we've gone ahead and broke it down to some very simple steps to help you get started. In today's lesson, we're going to learn two casts, the overhead cast and the roll cast. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate both of these casts for you. And my sister Brooke here is a complete novice, so we've brought her in today to go ahead and show some step-by-step instruction. So Brooke, to start, before we start casting, I want to go through the anatomy of a fly rod with you.
Okay.
This is great because it's going to help you understand all the different parts of a fly rod, and when I'm referring to certain things while we're casting, you're going to better understand what I'm talking about.
Okay.
This rod is made of graphite, and we have the cork handle here, and then we have our reel and our line. So when I put the rod together, I go ahead and I first put the graphite rod together. Then I hook on the reel. The reel here has a line in the back that we call backing. Backing is basically the extra line in case we caught a really big fish that took off through the water, because typically a fly line is 100 feet. So if a fish were to take off farther than that, at least we have the backing and we know we have a little bit more distance.
Okay.
Typically in trout fishing that's not as important, but when you're in saltwater, fish take you into the backing all the time. Here we have our floating fly line. This is really important to understand because as you're casting, a lot of people think they're casting the fly, but in reality, you're actually casting the fly line. That's important to keep in mind because you're not trying to get the fly out there, you're trying to get the line out there, and naturally with that, the fly will land where it needs to go. So it's designed to flex because as you can see, this little fly on here weighs virtually nothing. It's super lightweight, it's just made out of some feathers and elk hair. So in order to get that out there, we have this weighted line. It's a floating line, but it's also weighted. This line's specific size compared to this rod. So this is a 5-weight rod, so we're throwing a 5-weight line. If we were gonna go for bigger fish, I might have an 8-weight rod with an 8-weight line. In addition to our fly line, we have our cork handle here. You can take the reel on and off the rod. So when we transport this, all of this can pack up into a very small little package. If you need to take out line, you can simply just pull out line out of the reel. Okay. That's how you get it out. You do not reverse like this. That'll actually mess up your lines. You just pull it out. And if you need to reel, we always reel away from us, not towards us. This can be a misconception because in a lot of other forms of fishing, people reel towards themselves. So in fly fishing, you reel away from yourself, just like that. And see how I'm guiding the line in with my finger? That keeps it nice and straight coming onto the reel very naturally.
Okay.
One other thing I want to bring up, do you see how there's this colored floating line right here? Mm-hmm. And then do you see how there's some clear line?
Yep.
So what we have on the end of our floating line, I'll go ahead and show you. See how like the line ends up there, the colored line, there's like a little knot up there?
Yep.
And then it's clear all the way down here. So we have a leader. A leader is basically a long tapered clear line. And if you think about this, when we throw this out here, if our fly was attached to this, the fish would see it really easily. So that's why we disguise it on a clear leader. And if our leader over the day, as we're cutting it shorter, adding new flies, if we need to extend it, we can add additional line to it with another knot. We call that adding tippet to the leader. Do you feel like you have a pretty good understanding of the different elements of the rod?
Yep.
Perfect.